But first, let's get to some news about Amanda Knox, the American college student accused of killing her roommate. She is back in court as her trial now resumes. NBC's Stephanie Gosk is in Perugia, Italy this morning with the latest on this troubling story. Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning. And for the next few days, investigators are going to be explaining how they gathered evidence and put together a case against 21-year-old Knox and her former boyfriend, Raffaele Sollecito. It'll be critical evidence and testimony for the defense, who have claimed that Italian police bungled this case and contaminated DNA evidence. Without that evidence, Knox's lawyers say there is no case.
Today in court, Amanda Knox was greeted, as she has been every day of this trial, by a crush of paparazzi. They call her Angel Face, an angel accused of a vicious crime that she says she didn't commit.
Italians for over a year now have been mesmerized, have been extremely, I would say, hypnotized almost by this murder.
Prosecutors argue that Knox, her former boyfriend Raffaele Sollecito, and a third suspect, Rudy Guede, lured Knox's roommate Meredith Kircher into a drug-fueled sex game that turned deadly. Knox, they say, cut the British student's throat with a knife and left her to bleed to death. It is an accusation that has turned a murder case into a spectacle.
In America, not only in America, a young, beautiful, innocent-looking, perhaps criminal young American girl. You know,
that's the fascination, really.
Fascination has to do with mystery.
So even the smallest details of Knox's life, what she eats in prison, what she says to the guards or wears into the courtroom, seem to mesmerize Italians. In an online poll, Knox was voted the most popular woman of 2008. Her story is regularly the subject of hour-long TV specials, and 3 books have already been written about the case. One by psychiatrist Vincenzo Mastronardi.
How did you get all this information?
Who analyzed Knox's handwriting and told us he thinks the young college student is creative, curious, and effortlessly seductive.
Questo non dice che deve essere stata lei a commettere il crimine naturalmente, no?
But outside a popular bar in Perugia, American students worry the public obsession with Knox may undermine the trial.
No one knows the complete story, so if she was innocent, imagine how she feels. She's sitting in a European prison,
where she will be for months to come. The trial is expected to last at least until this fall.
Now, moments ago in the court, the lead investigator told the courtroom that he didn't actually enter the crime scene until the forensics team had finished their work, a full 4 days after the body was discovered. When the defense team asked him why he didn't enter the first day, he said his hair was dirty and he was worried about contaminating the scene. The response got a little bit of laughter from the courtroom, but it seems to support the defense's claim that this investigation from the very beginning has been slow-paced. Ann?
All right, Stephanie Goss this morning. Thank you, Stephanie. Well, Dan Abrams is NBC's chief legal analyst. Hey, Dan, good morning. So listen, I mean, is it true? Is it possible that all this notoriety is going to undermine this case?
It could. It certainly could. But as you listen to Stephanie's piece there, it doesn't sound like it's all negative. I mean, sometimes you find in these cases that everyone presumes that the person is guilty before the case starts. It sounds like there's some people there who are willing to think about the evidence, consider the evidence, listen to what's happening in court. But look, it is hard. It is hard when you've got a case where this many people know about the case going into it already.
No, but it's also kind of strange. I mean, the most popular girl in Italy in 2008. I mean, so it's a whole new, it seems like a whole new level of and how the notoriety could affect the case.
And part of the problem has been that so much of the evidence has been released over time. It's not as if people are hearing about this evidence for the first time in court. I mean, everything from her alleged confession to a statement that she made to a written one, etc. It's all come out over time, and the public knows about each and every piece of evidence.
Well, let's talk about this evidence because the trial resumes today. The focus is going to be turning towards the evidence and not theory, which we'll get to in a moment, but some DNA and circumstantial evidence is going to be introduced. So which is more important to the prosecutors?
Yeah, and a lot of people make a lot about the DNA evidence, that the fact that the murder weapon may have had her DNA on it. Why isn't that important? Because it was a knife that was found in her home. So not that surprising that her DNA would be on a knife found in her home. The bigger issue to me is going to be some cell phone records that are going to be released, because the real question here is, was she in the home at the time of the murder? She has basically said, no, I wasn't there. I was at my boyfriend's home. Once they're able to sort of pinpoint a little closer what the time of the murder was, you can then look at cell phone records of her and her boyfriend, and I think that becomes really important.
Meantime, what about this statement? The police basically asked her to write a statement, to imagine what would have happened that night in the house. There's some amazing stuff in this statement. This is going to be entered into the court records?
Yeah,
it's going to be entered as evidence?
Yeah, her position is that they just asked her to imagine what might have happened. I mean, think about that she's writing a statement, imagining what might have happened, and then she comes up with this account of her being in the home and covering her ears, etc.
Because the victim was screaming,
That's
why
right.
she was covering her ears.
They excluded a separate statement, one that she said when being questioned. This was then a written statement taken the next day that the court is now saying is admissible. But if it's true that she was responding to the question, think about what might have happened, imagine, it's a little hard to accept. We're going to have to see exactly what the circumstances were surrounding
it may not be. I mean, it's first of all surprising they would be entered into evidence, and then the question would really, how much could it really hurt her since it was afterwards?
Well, that's right. And again, the question becomes, what did the authorities say? I mean, if the authorities are really saying make something up, here that would be a big problem in terms of admitting it into evidence. My guess is the authorities are going to say, no, wait, that's not exactly what was said. This is a tough case.
All right, Dan Abrams, thanks so much for trying to make it clear for us.